I thought I knew what betrayal felt like. I thought 5 years of marriage meant something. I thought blood was thicker than water. But on a random Tuesday evening in October, standing outside my own bedroom door, I learned that everything I believed about loyalty, family, and love was built on a foundation that could crumble in seconds. Amanda was supposed to be on a business trip for 3 days. Dylan's car should not have been parked in my driveway, and the laughter coming from upstairs should not have existed. My hand reached for the doorknob, and I knew deep in my gut that nothing would ever be the same. Before I tell you what I found behind that door, let me know where you are watching this from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. Because what happened next tore my entire world apart, and I need you to understand how a family can turn against you when you refuse to be their victim. I pushed open the bedroom door. My bedroom door. In my house. The house Amanda and I bought together 3 years ago after saving for a down payment. The house where we talked about raising kids someday. The house where we planned our future every Sunday morning over coffee. They were on our bed, my wife and my brother. Amanda's face went pale the second she saw me. She pulled the sheets up her mouth, opening and closing like she was trying to find words that did not exist. But Dylan, my 27-year-old little brother, just smiled. Actually smiled. He sat up, slowly running a hand through his hair like he had all the time in the world. "Relax, bro. It is not what you think," he said, and then he laughed. Actually laughed. Like this was some kind of joke we were all in on. I could not move. My brain was trying to process what my eyes were seeing, but nothing made sense. This was Dylan, the kid I taught to ride a bike, the teenager I helped through his first breakup, the best man at my wedding who gave a toast about how Amanda and I were meant to be together. "Get out," I said. My voice came out flat, empty. "Get out of my house, now." Amanda started crying. "Mark, please let me explain. This is not what it looks like. We can talk about this." Dylan stood up, taking his time pulling on his jeans. He was not rushing. He was not embarrassed. He buttoned his shirt with the same casual confidence he brought to everything in his life. Sales manager at a tech company. Always dressed sharp, always knew what to say, always got what he wanted. "Come on, Mark," Dylan said, reaching for his shoes. "You have always been the boring one. She needed some excitement." The words hit me like a physical blow. I took a step toward him, my fists clenched. I said, "Get out." Dylan walked past me so close I could smell his cologne. The same cologne I bought him for Christmas last year. He paused at the doorway, turning back with that same smirk. "This was not the first time, brother. We have been doing this for 3 months. Every time you worked late. Every time you went on those business trips to Seattle. She called me over. Sometimes at her place, sometimes here. That week, you went to your conference in Austin. We spent 4 days together." My vision went red. I lunged for him, but he was already down the stairs. I heard the front door open and close, heard his car start, heard him drive away like nothing had happened. Amanda was standing now, wrapped in our bedsheet, tears streaming down her face. "Mark, I am so sorry. It was a mistake. It did not mean anything. Please, we can work through this." I turned to look at her. Really look at her. The woman I married. The woman I trusted completely. The woman who promised to love me in sickness and in health, for better or worse. "How did it start?" I asked. She wiped her eyes. "It just happened. Dylan was here one day when you were working late, and we were talking, and he was so sweet, and one thing led to another. When, 2 months ago, after your parents' anniversary party, Dylan stayed behind to help clean up. We had too much wine, and it just happened. And then it kept happening." She nodded, looking at the floor. "I know it was wrong. I tried to stop. I really did. But Dylan kept texting me, calling me. He said he could not stop thinking about me. He made me feel special, Mark. You are always so busy with work. You barely notice me anymore." I listened to her make excuses, listened to her try to shift blame, listened to her paint herself as the victim. And I realized something. She was not sorry it happened. She was sorry she got caught. Pack your things, I said quietly. Go stay with your sister. We will talk about this later when I can think straight. Mark, please. Get dressed and leave, now. She grabbed her clothes and left the room. I sat down on the edge of the bed, the same bed where we slept every night for 5 years, and tried to process what had just happened. My wife and my brother. Together. For months. In my home. In my bed. I thought about our wedding day. Dylan standing next to me as my best man. Amanda walking down the aisle in her white dress. My parents crying tears of joy. Lisa throwing rice as we ran to the car. 5 years ago. 5 years of building a life together. Gone in an instant. But what hurt more than Amanda's betrayal was Dylan's attitude. The smugness. The complete lack of remorse. The way he said she needed some excitement. Like I was some boring obstacle he had overcome. Like my marriage was just another challenge for him to conquer. I thought about our childhood. Dylan was 3 years younger, but he was always the star. The one who got straight A's without trying. The one who made varsity football as a freshman. The one all the girls wanted to date. Our parents adored him. Their golden boy who could do no wrong. And whenever Dylan wanted something, he got it. My toys became his toys. My friends became his friends. In high school, he even dated a girl I had a crush on just because he could. Mom always said I should be more understanding. Dad always said I should set a better example as the older brother. But this was different. This was not a toy or a high school crush. This was my wife. My life. And Dylan had taken it like it was his right. I heard the front door close. Amanda was gone. I sat alone in the empty house surrounded by the life we built together and felt completely and utterly alone. The next morning, my phone rang at 7 a.m. Mom. I considered not answering, but I knew she would just keep calling. Hello. Dylan told me what happened, she said. No greeting, no asking how I was doing. You need to calm down, Mark. I sat up in bed. I had barely slept, maybe 2 hours total. Mom, did he tell you what he did? He said there was a misunderstanding, that you overreacted. These things happen in marriages, Mark. You are overreacting. Dylan made a mistake, but he is your brother. I could not believe what I was hearing. A mistake, Mom. He slept with my wife. For months. In my house. Amanda called me too. She was crying. She loves you, Mark. You need to forgive them both. That is what family does. We forgive. Did Dylan tell you what he said to me? Did he tell you he laughed about it? Dylan has always looked up to you. Mom continued like she had not heard a word I said. Maybe he felt neglected. You know how sensitive he can be. You should be the bigger person here, for the sake of the family. The bigger person? Come to dinner tonight. Your father wants to talk to all of us. We will work this out as a family. 6 o'clock. Do not be late. She hung up before I could respond. I stared at my phone trying to process the conversation. My mother, the woman who raised me, was asking me to forgive my brother for sleeping with my wife. She was asking me to be understanding, to be the bigger person. That evening, I drove to my parents' house in the suburbs. The same house where I grew up. The same house where Dylan and I shared a bedroom until I left for college. The same house where we ate Sunday dinners and celebrated holidays and pretended to be a normal, happy family. I walked in without knocking. Everyone was already there. Dad sitting at the head of the table in his usual spot. Mom setting out plates. Lisa, my older sister, on her phone. And Dylan sitting there with a bandage across his nose and a bruise under his left eye. Wait. No, he did not have those when he left my house yesterday. Mark, Dad said, standing up. Glad you could make it. Sit down. We need to talk about this situation. I stayed standing. What situation? This whole mess with you, Dylan and Amanda. It has gotten out of hand. We need to resolve this like adults. I am listening. Mom brought out a casserole. Like this was a normal family dinner. Like my life had not just exploded. She sat down, folding her hands. Mark, I understand you are upset, Dad began. But family is family. We do not let things like this tear us apart. Dylan made a mistake. A big mistake. But you are both my sons. We need to move past this. I looked at Dylan. He was staring at his plate, playing the victim perfectly. Dylan, do you have anything to say to me? He looked up, and for a second I thought I saw genuine remorse. But then he shrugged. I'm sorry you found out the way you did. But honestly, Mark, maybe you should ask yourself why Amanda came to me in the first place. The table went silent. Lisa looked up from her phone. Mom's eyes went wide. Dad cleared his throat. What did you just say? I asked slowly. I mean, you are always working, always focused on your career. When was the last time you took Amanda on a date? When was the last time you made her feel special? I was just there for her when she needed someone. I took a step toward the table. Dad stood up. Mark, sit down. We are having a conversation here. A conversation he slept with my wife, and he is blaming me for it. Lisa finally spoke up. Mark, you are being dramatic. Marriages have problems. People make mistakes. You can work through this if you want to. But standing there looking like you want to kill someone is not helping. I am being dramatic. Dylan leaned back in his chair, that familiar smirk back on his face. See, you cannot even control your temper. No wonder Amanda needed someone else, someone who actually listens to her, someone who makes her laugh, someone who is not so uptight all the time. Something inside me snapped. I was around the table before I could think. My fist connected with Dylan's face right where that bandage was. He fell backward, the chair clattering to the floor. I was on top of him, hitting him again, all the rage and pain and betrayal pouring out through my fists. Dad and Lisa pulled me off. Dylan was on the floor, blood pouring from his nose. Mom was screaming, running to Dylan's side. Dylan looked up at me through the blood, and he was still smiling. There it is, he said, his voice thick. The real Mark. Mom, Dad, you see this? He is insane. He is violent. This is who he really is. Get out of my house, Dad yelled. Get out right now. I looked around at all of them. Mom cradling Dylan like he was a child. Lisa looking at me like I was a monster. Dad pointing at the door with fury in his eyes. Not one of them asked why I did it. Not one of them acknowledged what Dylan had done to deserve it. I left without another word. Drove home with my knuckles bleeding and my hands shaking. What had I done? I had just assaulted my brother in front of my entire family. I had proven Dylan right. I was the violent one, the unstable one, the problem. That night I got a text from Mom. Dylan is in the hospital, broken nose concussion. I hope you are proud of yourself. Then another one. Your father is talking to a lawyer. You assaulted your brother. There will be consequences. An hour later, Amanda texted. I heard what you did. You are out of control, Mark. Maybe Dylan was right about you. Maybe we should get a restraining order. I sat in my living room alone in the dark and realized what had happened. They had flipped the script. I was no longer the victim of betrayal. I was the aggressor, the violent husband, the unstable brother, and they were all going to make sure everyone knew it. The next morning, I called Trevor. We went to college together, roommates for 3 years. He went to law school while I went into software engineering. We stayed close, getting together for basketball games and the occasional beer. If anyone could help me, it was him. We met at a coffee shop downtown. I told him everything. The affair, the family dinner, hitting Dylan, the threats of legal action. Trevor listened without interrupting, taking notes on his phone. First of all, he said when I finished, you messed up by hitting him. That is assault. No matter what he did, no matter what he said, you cannot hit someone. But we can work with this. How? Do you have any proof of the affair? Text messages, emails, photos, anything? I shook my head. I did not think to look. I just wanted them out of my house. Okay, here is what you need to do. Get that proof. Go back to your house. Check Amanda's laptop, her phone, if she left it, anything you can find. If they are painting you as the bad guy, you need to prove why you snapped. The affair itself does not justify assault, but it establishes motive and emotional distress. It will help in divorce proceedings. They said they are pressing charges. Let them. If they do, we will show the affair evidence. We will show Dylan's harassment. We will paint a picture of extreme emotional distress. No jury is going to throw the book at a man who found his wife in bed with his brother. But Mark and I am serious about this no more violence. Not a single incident. They are setting you up to look unstable. Do not give them ammunition. I left the coffee shop with a plan. Trevor was right. I needed proof. I needed to show the world what Dylan and Amanda had done. I drove to the house. Amanda was staying at her mother's place across town. She had a key, but I doubted she would come back while I was there. I went straight to our home office to the desk where we kept our shared laptop. It took me 20 minutes to get past Amanda's password. It was our anniversary date, same as always. I opened her email first. Nothing there. Then I checked her social media messages. That is where I found it. Hundreds of messages between Amanda and Dylan. Going back 3 months, just like Dylan said. Messages about when I would be gone. Messages with explicit details about what they did. Messages where Dylan bragged about how easy it was. Messages where Amanda complained about me, about our marriage, about how boring I had become. I took screenshots of everything. Then I found her old phone in the bedroom drawer, the one she replaced 6 months ago. It still had charge. I went through her photo gallery. There were pictures, videos, evidence that no one could dispute. I copied everything to a USB drive. Then I copied it again to cloud storage just to be safe. My hands were shaking as I worked, partly from rage, partly from the complete violation of discovering just how long this had been going on. One message stood out. Dylan had written it 2 weeks ago. He has no idea. Too busy with work to notice his wife is sleeping with his brother. You deserve better than my boring brother. Amanda's response made my stomach turn. I know, but I cannot leave yet. Not until I figure out the money situation. The house is in both our names. If I file for divorce now, I will lose everything. She was not just cheating. She was planning, calculating, using me while sleeping with my brother, waiting for the right moment to take everything I had worked for. I took the USB drive to Trevor that afternoon. He looked through the evidence, his expression getting darker with each message. "This is perfect," he said finally. "Dylan and Amanda are done. We will file for divorce immediately, citing adultery. With this evidence, she gets nothing. No alimony, no split of assets. The house is yours. Everything is yours." "What about the assault charge?" Trevor scrolled through more messages. "Look at this. Dylan sent you threatening texts 2 weeks ago. Did you notice these?" I looked at the screen. Messages from Dylan I had ignored, thinking they were just drunk texts. "Stay away from Amanda. She is mine now. If you try anything, you will regret it." "This establishes a pattern," Trevor explained. "He was threatening you. He was provoking you. This shows premeditation on his part. He wanted you to snap. He wanted to paint himself as the victim. We can use this." Trevor filed a restraining order against Dylan that afternoon. Not the other way around. He also prepared divorce papers and sent them to Amanda's lawyer with all the evidence attached. Then he sent a letter to my parents' lawyer, the one Dad mentioned, outlining our counter case. 2 days later, I got a call from Lisa. "Mark, we need to talk. Can you come to Mom and Dad's house? Is Dylan going to be there?" "Yes, but we need to sort this out. Trevor can come too if you want." We arrived at 6 p.m., the same time as the disastrous dinner. This time, Trevor was with me carrying a briefcase full of documents. Dad, Mom Lisa, and Dylan were in the living room. Dylan's face was still bruised, his nose in a splint. Dad started immediately. "Mark, you owe Dylan an apology, and you need to pay his medical bills. This has gone too far." I stayed standing. Trevor stood next to me. "No, let me show you something first." I pulled out printouts of the messages, selected ones the most damning. I spread them on the coffee table in front of my parents. Read these." Mom picked one up. Her face went pale. Dad grabbed another. Lisa leaned over to look. They read in silence. Dylan sat perfectly still, staring at the wall. "Where did you get these?" Mom asked, her voice barely a whisper. "From Amanda's laptop. 3 months of messages. 3 months of my brother bragging about sleeping with my wife. 3 months of my wife planning how to take my money while lying to my face every single day." Dad put down the paper he was holding. "Dylan, is this true?" Dylan finally looked at him. "Those are private." He had no right to go through Amanda's things. "Answer the question." Dad said, his voice hard. "Is this true? Did you do this?" "She came on to me first. She was unhappy. Mark was never home. I was just being there for her." Lisa stood up suddenly. "Dylan, this says you threatened Mark. You sent him messages saying Amanda was yours. You told him to stay away from his own wife." "I was drunk when I sent those." "You were sober when you slept with his wife," Trevor said calmly. "Multiple times. In his house, in his bed, and then you bragged about it. These messages show premeditation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress." Mom was crying now, quiet tears rolling down her face. "How could you do this, Dylan? How could you do this to your brother?" "You always chose him over me anyway," Dylan said, standing up. "Mark gets everything. The good job, the nice house, the perfect wife. I was just taking what should have been mine." "Get out," Dad said quietly. "What? Get out of my house. I do not want to see you right now." Dylan looked around at all of us. His face twisted into something ugly. "You are all hypocrites. You spent my whole life telling me I was special, that I deserved everything I wanted. And now you are mad because I took it. This is your fault. All of you." He grabbed his jacket and stormed out. We heard his car screech out of the driveway. The living room was silent except for Mom's quiet crying. "Mark," Dad said finally, "I owe you an apology. We should have listened to you. We should have taken your side from the beginning." Trevor spoke up. "Mark will be filing for divorce. Based on this evidence, Amanda will receive no alimony and no division of assets. If you want to press charges for the assault, that is your right, but we will be filing countercharges for harassment and provocation. We have evidence that Dylan threatened Mark, that he deliberately provoked this confrontation, and that the assault was a direct result of extreme emotional distress caused by Dylan's actions." Dad shook his head. "No one is pressing charges. This family has been through enough." Lisa came over to me. "Mark, I am so sorry. I should have listened. I should have been on your side. I just thought you were overreacting, but this—" She gestured at the papers. "This is evil. I had no idea Dylan was capable of something like this." I looked at my mother, still crying on the couch. "Mom!" She looked up at me with red eyes. "I was wrong. I wanted to protect Dylan because he is my baby, but what he did was unforgivable. I am so sorry, Mark. I am so sorry." But it was too late for apologies. They had chosen Dylan over me when it mattered. They had called me violent, unstable, dramatic. They had threatened to have me arrested for defending myself against the worst betrayal imaginable. "I appreciate the apology," I said carefully, "but I need some time. I cannot just forget that you all took his side immediately, that you made me feel like I was crazy for being angry." Trevor and I left. As we walked to the car, he put a hand on my shoulder. "That went better than expected." "Did it? Your family knows the truth now. Dylan is exposed. Amanda is going to lose everything. You won. This is what winning looks like." But it did not feel like winning. It felt like losing everything that mattered. The divorce proceedings moved quickly once Amanda's lawyer saw the evidence. There was no point in fighting. Adultery in our state meant she had no claim to alimony, and the house we bought together would stay with me. She signed the papers without contest. I saw her one more time at the lawyer's office for the final signatures. She looked smaller, somehow diminished. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup, dark circles under her eyes. "Mark," she said as we waited in the lobby. I really am sorry. I know that does not change anything, but I need you to know. Why did you do it? I asked. Just tell me why. She looked at the floor. I do not know. Dylan made me feel exciting, like I was 25 again, like I mattered. You were always so focused on work, on building our future, and I felt invisible. Dylan saw me. I was building that future for us. I know that now, but at the time it felt like you did not care anymore. So you slept with my brother. It started as just talking. Then one night he kissed me and I should have stopped it, but I did not. And then it kept happening. I told myself it did not mean anything, that I still loved you, that I could have both. I was stupid and selfish and I ruined everything. Yes, you did. The lawyer called us in. We signed the papers in silence. When it was done, Amanda stood up and looked at me one last time. I hope you find someone who deserves you, Mark. Someone who appreciates everything you are. I am sorry I was not that person. She left. I never saw her again. Dylan disappeared too. I heard through Lisa that he lost his job. Someone at his company found out about the affair, about the messages, and it got back to his boss. They fired him for creating a hostile work environment. His reputation in the industry was destroyed. He tried to contact me a few times. Text messages saying he was sorry. Voicemails saying he was going to therapy. Emails asking for forgiveness. I blocked him everywhere. Trevor advised me to keep documentation of everything just in case, but to maintain zero contact. My parents tried to stay neutral. They would call occasionally, ask how I was doing, invite me to holidays. I went to Thanksgiving, but left early. Christmas was worse. The empty chair where Dylan used to sit felt like an accusation. Mom kept crying. Dad kept drinking. Lisa tried to keep conversation going. I have not been back since. Lisa is the only one I still talk to regularly. She texts me every week, sends me articles she thinks I would like, invites me to her kids' birthday parties. She has apologized 100 times. I have forgiven her. She was trying to keep the peace. I understand that now. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I started therapy. My therapist, a woman in her 50s named Dr. Chen, helped me understand what happened. Not just the affair, but the family dynamics that led to it. Dylan exhibits signs of narcissistic personality disorder, she explained in one session. The golden child syndrome your parents created made him believe he was entitled to everything. And when you enforced a boundary, when you fought back, he played the victim. That is classic narcissistic behavior. So it is my parents' fault. It is everyone's fault and no one's fault. Your parents made mistakes in how they raised Dylan. Dylan made choices as an adult. Amanda made choices. You made a choice when you hit him. Everyone owns their piece of this. But I was justified in being angry. Absolutely. But justified anger does not give you the right to assault someone. You know that. You have to own that piece, Mark. You have to acknowledge that you made a mistake too, even if it was in response to horrible circumstances. She was right. I did assault Dylan. No matter how much he deserved it, no matter how much he provoked me, I crossed a line. I have to live with that. But I do not regret standing up for myself. I do not regret exposing the truth. I do not regret walking away from a family that chose favoritism over fairness. I started rebuilding my life. Trevor introduced me to his basketball league. I made new friends, people who did not know my history, who just saw me as Mark the software engineer who was decent at three-pointers. I started going to the gym regularly. I took a trip to Iceland by myself, something I had always wanted to do, but Amanda always said was too cold. Standing on a black sand beach in Vic, watching waves crash against volcanic rock, I felt something I had not felt in months. Peace. Freedom. The weight of family expectations, of trying to be the responsible one, of making everyone happy, lifted off my shoulders. I did not need their validation anymore. I did not need Dylan to apologize or my parents to choose me or Amanda to realize what she lost. I just needed to choose myself. 6 months after everything happened, I got a letter from Dylan. a real letter, handwritten, sent to my house. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity got the better of me. "Mark," it began, "I know you probably will not read this. I know I do not deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to know that I understand now what I did to you. I have been in therapy. I have been working on myself. I realize that I spent my whole life taking things from you because I was jealous. You had something I never did. You had self-respect. You had integrity. You knew who you were. I was always pretending, always trying to be whoever people wanted me to be. And when I saw you with Amanda, with your house, with your stable life, I wanted to destroy it. Not because I loved Amanda, because I hated that you had something real and I did not. I am sorry. I know that is not enough. I know I can never make this right, but I am sorry." I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and never looked at it again. Maybe someday I will forgive Dylan. Maybe someday I will be able to have a relationship with my parents again. But not today. Today, I am focused on building a life that does not include people who hurt me. I lost a wife, a brother, and parents who chose favoritism over fairness. But I gained something more valuable than any of that. I gained my self-respect. I learned that family is not just about blood. It is about loyalty, respect, and being there when it counts. And I learned that sometimes the hardest part of growing up is realizing your family never really grew up at all. Have you ever had to walk away from family to protect yourself? Drop a comment below and share your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about betrayal, healing, and finding yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to put yourself first. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to stand up for yourself no matter who tells you that you are wrong. Stay strong, and remember that choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival.